waiting room. اوكي حور العين تفضلي عيني.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, my teachers and my colleagues. So, welcome to our new activity in medical education subgroup for 2024 for RCB Iraqi and the network, which is called the Capacity Building in Medical Education course. Let's take a brief about the course, so we will start. This program is designed to enhance the skills and knowledge for medical educators for medical college, which are Wasit University, Alameed University, Alkafeel, and Sulimani universities. Aim of to establish or to make TOT group of medical education for medical college. Target audience who are the former faculty members of this college and medical students who are interested. So all data, all material are uploaded in the model website. You are provided for that before, so you can check everything in the model website. So, learning objective for this course, by the end of this course, you will be able to recognize and apply the key principles of andragogy to medical practice and educational practice. Analyze how adult learning theories, such as self-directed learning, experiential learning, and others, can be included in curriculum design, and describe the key components and the states of medical curriculum design, compare the contrast and various curriculum design models such as subject-centered or learner-centered. Also, medical educator should be and will be provided with the latest technologies and medical related in the artificial intelligence at this course. Also, the mentoring and evaluation monitoring and peer-to-peer learning mentorship. This is all the learning objective for our course. For today, we are starting the module 1 for the course, which is involved with 6 modules who are provided in front of you now in the slide. So the module 1 will be principles of medical education. As a rule for the requirement for successful completion of capacity building in medical education course, you should be attending or viewing the records of webinars. At a minimum, you should be involved in 5 from 6 modules, participate in pre-test and post-test evaluation, participate in discussion forum in the model website, which is a discussion post or comment on the post that are provided in the website. Also, completion of assignment at the exact time for each module. So, the module 1, which we will start today, which is called the principles of medical education. So, we will talk about the rational behavior behind the medical education, principles of adult learning, and curriculum design and management. The speakers for today, who are the brilliant and the role models for medical education, who is Prof. Hilal Al Saffar. He is a consultant cardiologist, the national advisor for RCB London, and chair of the network in Iraq, also a medical education advisor in Alkafeel University. Also, the second speaker for today, who is Nazar Hadad. He is a consultant pathologist, had a diploma degree in health profession education from Kale program, and also RCP member for medical education subgroup. Also, he is an examiner in examination committee for Arab and Iraqi Board of Chemical Pathology. Please, we have a timeline, so we should be restricted to that time. We have a question and answer, lectures time, and also we will take a break so you can drink water or take some coffee. So, please, before starting, we should do and be restricted with the ground rules. If your mobile is near you, please make it silent and mute your Zoom. And also, if you have anything discussion, you can raise your hand, so ask you to unmute yourself, or you can write it in the discussion chat box. So let's enjoy this learning experience and starting this course ala barakatillah. المايك لكم دكتور هلال.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahur. I will stop sharing your screen and I will start mine. واضحة عندكم الشيرنج سكرين؟
اي نعم.
Okay, dear colleagues, most welcome in this unique medical education course dedicated for only 4 universities, 4 medical university, Suleimaniya, Wasit, Alkafeel, and Alameed. And the plan is that not to be an expert in medical education, but at least you will be aware of the what is medical education, how can I participate and be an active part in this process, and we are creating a member for the curriculum committee in the 4 medical universities. Honestly speaking, it will be a very strict, we will be very strict in this course. We will never give certification with anyone who will not comply with all the regulations and rules we put for that course. And therefore you have to complete it. It will be of 6 modules. 2 of them will be face-to-face, one to be in Suleimaniya at the end of July, and the other will be in Baghdad in the middle of August, inshallah. Today, my talk is an introductory one. Is that historical review of the changes in medical education and the rationale for medical education. To start with, you have to put this in your Google search engine or bar, is that slido.com, and then you have to put the hashtag and this number is 6465210. Please, colleagues, Hur, Mariam, Adian, put that code in the chat box so that they can use it in the communication and interaction with me during the presentation. Hashtag 6465210. And then we will start with the learning objective. As we all know, what is the learning objective and why we put learning objective in every session, whether that session a large group, small group, practical session, or a clinical session. So the learning objective of my presentation is that stating the stages of medical education development. How do medical education started from the beginning till now? This is one of the objectives of this presentation. And then we have to describe the Flexnerian system of medical education, that system designed by Abraham Flexner in 1910. And what is pros and cons of that system. And the third objective is that to highlight the importance of the medical education units as the cooking chicken for the medical school, designing, implementing, foreseeing, evaluating the medical curriculum. These are 3 main objectives of my presentation today. I want to show you this photo. This is from the medieval areas, that is in the 16th century, between 115 and 10 to 115 and 90. This picture represents what is called a barber surgeon. Barber surgeon, that is an inventor and surgical inventor of a surgical instrument. He works in treating wounds, amputation of legs, and then he can cut hair as well. So that profession, medicine, started at that stages, doing it by barber or other professions practicing medicine. And this is called Ambroise Paré, that is in he was a French anatomist. He is doing many jobs, barber as well as surgeon treating patients, especially the injured soldiers. If we come to a question is that why we do study history. Is it important to study the history of medical education and wasting more than 45 minutes of your time just to study the history? Is it important or not? Now I want you to answer this question. Why do we study the history of medical education? Please write your comment or just text because this is a free text. You can text more than one time. Why you think it is important to study the history of medical education? Is that an essential part of our practice? Sorry. Do you started or not? Harleen, is it obvious to you?
Victor?
واضح عندكم okay, but I couldn't see any texting. Okay, to learn from mistakes, that's one. To learn from history and guide our future vision. Very good. The question is why, not I'm asking shall we or not. The question is why we study history, learn from lessons. To know how all the curriculum standards and improvement came for improving medical education. Very good. To understand what people before us have went through. To review the process and to decide whether to keep to improve. To discover the progress and changes in medicine. Okay. To know the stages of development. Okay. It's essential because it helps to appreciate how we reach our current state. Okay, very good, Muhammad. To learn from previous mistakes and to rebuild. It's very good. Okay, so from your answers, you agree that studying medical education, the history of medical education is important. Understand the progress and learning from mistakes. Progression of medical education. Okay. Now, because the time is short, I couldn't left it open for a long time. I will go to that man, brilliant man who said that time present and time past are both perhaps present in the time future, and the time and the future are contained in the time past. This is very important. Quote by T.S. Eliot from his book Four Quarters, Brant Norton in 1930. So the merit of studying the past is to understand the present and forge the future. And this is a very important part why we are studying the history of medical education. If we go rapidly across the centuries, how do that profession of medical practice progressed? So from the ancient and medieval periods, من العصور الوسطى القديمة والوسطى, there was the Greek and the Rome scientists. We all know Hippocrates and Galen, where they are before BC, 5th century before Christ till the second after. And then we come to the medieval Islamic world from the 8th to the 14th centuries, where we have the very famous Ibn Sina and Al-Razi, who have made much progress in medicine, and they wrote a lot of books, and their books have been translated and then transported to Europe, where in the Latin language, and they start to build on in Europe. And then we come to the Renaissance period, العهد النهضة الصناعية, from the 14th to the 17th century. The discovery of the classical text. The classical textbook was discovered at that time. One of the important classical texts is that of the Human Anatomy by Andreas Vesalius, published the De Humani Corporis Fabrica. And that was between the 14th and 17th century. And then between the 17th to the 18th century, William Harvey discovered the circulation in 1628, and then the establishment of medical school in Europe, such as that of Edinburgh, was in 1726. Looks how old that medical school that spread the training of medicine to the whole world. One of them is Baghdad College of Medicine, was copied from Edinburgh curriculum. In the 19th century, there was reform in the medical education, and was in 1858 there was establishment of the General Medical Council in the UK. There is a turning point in the history of medical education happened in 1910, and that was led by the scientist who called Abraham Flexner. That's a scientist in North America, where he published his epic report about the current practice of education and medicine in America and Canada. And that was a milestone in the development of medical education. In the 20th century, there is development of modern medical school where introduction of new concept and philosophy وها رح نجي إلها شلون بدأت الفلسفة التعليم تتغير ويا الوقت. In 1960s, there have been changed the philosophy of learning to the problem-based learning. That was a practice in Maxter. Also, introduction of new teaching methodology like evidence-based medicine and involvement of technology advances, including incorporation of simulation, online resources, and telemedicine. In the 21st century, we have the another shift in the philosophy of teaching and learning to the competency-based education. Also on the interprofessional education. And then lately, globalization and diversity with an increased focus on the global health, cultural competence and addressing healthcare disparities. إذا تلاحظون هذه المصطلحات كلها من أساسيات الأكريديتيشن اعتمادية كليات الطب على هذه النيو concepts اللي هي global health, cultural competence, health disparities, health promotion, disease prevention, humanity in practicing medicine. So you can see the development of these stages in medical education from the ancient times till now. The very important thing is that the medical education at all levels undergone and is continuously undergoing changes. وهذه النقطة اللي احنا لازم كلنا نفهمها. There is no way to stop. The medical education is in a continuous evolution process. Never stop at any time. And the overall approaches for medical education, either there is change in the philosophy, like I have just said, to the Flexner report in 1910, where he said we have to have university-based medical schools, preclinical and clinical. That was a milestone. And then the other milestone comes by the EPIC report. That was in early 1990s. A report from the GMC and from America. We will see that in a few minutes, how it changed the philosophy of medical education. In between, there are some changes not only in the philosophy, in the details, including teaching methods, including the clinical environment, including the learning environment that the students are practicing, and whether they have to be trained in hospitals or in primary healthcare centers or in rural areas. So, what is certain now is that changes are constant occurring in medical education. And change is inevitable consequences of progress and development. ماكو وقت نقول احنا هيا وصلنا واحنا اللي عندنا كل الزين and that's it. There is never reaching to such a step. Now, changes can be done. Why do medical schools change their curriculum? هذا التشينج ممكن يصير بإفكت خارجي يعني الكلية مجبورة the medical institution is obliged to do that because it is ordered from higher sources like the university or the ministry. This is called external force change. But sometimes the changes come from inside. When those who are involved in the curriculum believe that it is no longer fit or appropriate or effective. And therefore, these changes are called elective, while the first one is the force changes. There are usually some who benefit from the change and some who lose from the change, and therefore this is very important step اخوان او statement. دائما اكو فريقين, two teams, one is with and one is against. Once you change something, one is supportive and one is acting against, but everyone have to put his evidence, to show his evidence why he is with and why he is against, and this is very important part. prior to the رجعنا قبل القرن الثامن عشر في أمريكا وأوروبا learning of medicine was limited to certain social class, high social class. Those high social class, they are attending the medical schools at that time or the university, and even those their patient coming from the same social class. And the Latin language was the usual language used to learn medicine. And usually the medicine at that time, it was university based. They are teaching the classical of medicine, including lectures, and as I said, Latin was the language. It was not the same as a practical hands-on like physicians or surgeon or pharmacists later on. And then after that, by the end of the 18th century, the movement toward the practical training in medicine was also gaining momentum. And at that time, they are using the local national language beside the Latin language. And the medical practice was also transformed as medicine, surgery, and therapeutics were drumming together. يعني قام different practices, whether surgeon or medicine or whether apothecaries اللي هي الصيدلة أصبحوا مجموعين في مكان واحد يمارسون الطب. إلى أن إجا هذا العالم اللي هو لندن، هذا British scientist where he stated، لاحظوا فلسفة الإخوان دائما أكو في كل فترة أكو من يظهر فيلسوف ينظر للفترة وبالتالي يصير تغيير بعدها. ب 1830 هذا لندن ايش قال؟ قال احنا what kind of physician we need? We need an all-rounded or a general practitioner. هنا بدأ يعيف التخصص specialty وspecialty إلى general practitioner who would practice in all department of a profession, dispense medicine and prescribe. يعني هنا مرض طبيب متخصص جراح وباطني وواحد بس يصرف أدوية، وإنما هو يقدر يشتغل باطنية ويشتغل جراحة ويوصف الأدوية ويكتب وصفات للمرضى. هذه بال 1830. By the mid-19th century, the program of study medicine school is still varied from one country to country. لكن أصبحت بعض التشابه ما بين البلدان، وأصبحت اللغة المحلية هي اللغة المستخدمة في studying medicine. والprogram at that time including lectures و demonstration. عندهم demonstration anatomy، عندهم demonstration في بعض الأمور الأخرى، لكن ما كان بالكلاسيكال way اللي احنا نفهمها بعد أو اللي صارت later on. الغريب انه هنا في فيلادلفيا اول ميديكال سكول صارت ب 1765، وهذه كانت كوبي لأدنبرا. Why? Because those who established Philadelphia Medical School were trained initially in Edinburgh, and therefore they have the same program as Edinburgh. وهنا تلاحظون students admitted to the anatomical lecture. هنا تشوفون خالين البودي ويصير الديسكشن والكل قاعدين يباعون من قرب ومن. إذا تلاحظون الصورة كلش معبرة، واحد نايم، واحد شوي داير وجهه، واحد كلش engaged، واحد ما يشوف زين إلى آخره. هذه صورة معبرة إلى طريقة التدريس كانت في ذلك الوقت. And then later on, by the 19th century, many other medical schools have been set for profit. كانت يعني أهلية، صارت كليات طب أهلية في ذلك الوقت. وبسبب أنه there is a questionable about the quality of those medical schools بدأت دعوات ل reconsidering what is the standard of medicine we are doing. As a result, the reorganization of the American medical education was initiated into several fronts. هنا صار التحول اخوان، هاي نقطة مايلستون مهمة اجت بهذا العالم اللي هو ابرام فليكسنر. هذا العالم تكلف من commissioned by مؤسسة امريكية هي الكارنيجي فاونديشن for the advancement of teaching. قالوا له يابا تعال انت شوف التعليم عندنا وشنو مشاكله وين وصلنا احنا. هذا سوى ريبورت and then he published his report وهو epic report يعني تاريخي. Medical education in the state and Canada was published in 1910. In his report, he pointed to the shortcoming of the American educational system and called for a higher standard and quality control. ومنا بدأت القصة بالفلكسنر وبطريقة الديزاين مال الكوريكولوم اللي سواها. الريكومنديشن مالته ايش قال؟ قال هاي الكليات او مكان تدريب الطب بمكان ما يكون سيبريتد لازم يجي يكون جزء من الجامعه، وبعدين لازم الاساتذه should be involved in original research، والطلاب should practice actively in learning ويداومون في مختبرات ويحصلون على real clinical experience. هذا كان السجستشن مالته. أيضا هو قسم التعليم الطبي into two areas, preclinical and clinical, each one continue from 1 to 3 years. And هذا السيستم هو بدل السيستم اللي كان قبله، قبل 1910، اللي كان السيستم يعتمد على الأسطى والتلميذ. يعني التلميذ يتعلم من الأستاذ مالته، من الأسطى مالته. هنا صار more structured، يعتمد على الجامعة، يعتمد على بحث، يعتمد على مختبر. فصار اكو فد paradigm shift in the vision of medical education. وماني ميديكال سكولز اتبعت هذا النظام اللي سواه فليكسنر whether في أمريكا or in Europe or even in Asia. and ما هو الوضع عندنا في آسيا؟ في آسيا كانت عدة دول مستعمرة من دول كبرى، لذلك every country was following the same educational system that is found by the colonial master of that area. فإذا رحنا إلى الهند وباكستان وبنغلاديش وماليزيا وسنغافورة والعراق وأستراليا اتبعوا البريتش سيستم in education، while the Indochina اتبعوا الفرنش، أما الإندونيسيا اتبعت الداتش educational system. التشالنجز اللي موجودة في آسيا متشابهة أخوان، وكليتنا نعاني من عندها. أولا large classes و large number of students. بعدين limited opportunities for training of the student to pursue an independent learning. وبعدين نقطة مهمة جدا أخوان، اللي هي الأسسمنت system was antiquated، كلش old. وهذا السيستم مال الأسسمنت يفتقد للفاليديتي والريلايابيليتي، للمصداقية وللموثوقية، لذلك ما كان ينطي النتائج المطلوبة. الميديكال school are still realizing or retrieve their medical education and realign with the needs of the priority of the society. وهذا فشيء كلش جيد انه من تفكر الكليه what she is what the college is doing, what the college is graduating. بنهاية القرن العشرين الفلكسنيريان سيستم كان شائع في كل أوروبا، في أمريكا، في آسيا، وهذا كان بكواليتي كنترول، وكان يعني هو النظام المتبع تقريبا أكثر نظام متبع عالميا. However in the recent years شافوا أكو عدة مثالب لهذا النظام، الكريتيسيزم to the Flexnerian system. شن هي هذه المثالب اللي موجودة بالفلكسنيريان سيستم؟ أولا أكو clear artificial separation ما بين الكلينيكال والبيزك، فأكو repetition كان يكون بيناتهم اثنيناتهم. هذا واحد. اثنين، النولج اللي ياخذها الطالب بالبيزك ساينس become lost during the clinical science، والطالب doesn't know the relevance of the basic knowledge he was taking in the basic science and how to apply it in the clinical science. بعدين الميديكال سكولز were part of the university، واليونيفرسيتي تعتمد على البحوث، فصار اكو tremendous advancement in research but not advancement in medical education. النقطة الثالثة، البيزك والكلينيكال sciences had become more focused on research، فهذا سوى الكونتنت مالت الكوريكولم كلش extensive، مو بس extensive overwhelming، و it is more disciplined directed. It is more disciplined. فنشوف الاختصاصات بحد ذاتها زاد الكمية المعلومات اللي بيها. وبعدين النقطة الأخيرة إنه worldwide in medical schools following the Western type Flexnerian، البالانس ما بين إنه البايوميديكال theories and the learning skills هي تتأخر وتتقدم حسب المكان اللي يسوي لهذا السيستم. لذلك unfortunately many medical schools do not appear to have a clear educational mission، وهذه شفناها بالاعتمادية من اشتغلنا ويا قسم من الكليات ماكو mission statement أساسا. ليش؟ لأنه هاي الكليات بالأساس ما جاوبت أسئلة أساسية. شنو هي هاي الأسئلة؟ What should be the primary focus of medical education? And should it be the patient addressing the patient needs or addressing the demand or the scientific rigor؟ يعني هل هي تكون تدريب الطالب حتى يكون addressing the social needs أو حتى يصير باحث؟ وهنا يجي السؤال، هل إنه do medical schools want to train clinical practitioner لو researcher لو both؟ ماذا تهدف المؤسسة التعليمية من منهاجها التعليمي؟ and where should be their training take place؟ هل يصير بالمختبر، يصير بالlecture hall، أو يصير بالكلينيك؟ لذلك اكو كان swing ما بين the two approaches, whether a researcher more or whether a practitioner more. الشيء الآخر اللي كان موجود من one side العلماء اللي يردون or the scientists who want to be انه research يكون اكثر، هذا ادى الى انه البيزك knowledge صار كلش هوايه، الكوريكولم صار overwhelming، الداتا كلش كبيره، والاستاذ اصبح transformer of a knowledge to the student، واصبح عندنا passive learning. والكوريكولم often poorly coordinated as individual basic sciences department sought to teach the medical student as much as possible without indicating the science relevance to the clinical practice. والنتيجة كان أكثر طريقة التعليم هي عن طريق المحاضرات، وتلاحظون هنا الأودينس اللي قاعدين هم مش قد انجيج ويا المحاضر، لأنه معلومات كلش هواية، والمعلومات الهواية تعطى بمحاضرات كبيرة large group teaching، وبالتالي هذه هي النتيجة اللي تكون الآن موجودة. Now from the other side الجروب اللي يقول انه الكلية يجب ان تخرج graduate addressing the needs of the society of the community، لذلك the emphasis should be on increased exposure to clinical training including primary care setting يتدربون به، يركزون على communication skills, ethics, preventive medicine and health maintenance. وبالتالي هنا يكون أهمية أنه exposure of the student to the clinical settings, various clinical settings، ليس فقط في المستشفيات التعليمية tertiary centers، وإنما primary health care, rural hospitals, outpatient clinic، والتركيز على dimensions أخرى من ضمنها communication skills والethics إلى آخره. These consideration emphasizes the medical school decision marker must be clear about what type of doctors they want to train، وهذا لازم يكون واضح in the mission and the vision of the medical institution. عدة منظمات عالمية قالت يابا ترى الموضوع خطير، انتوا لازم تراجعون النظر بالمناهج كلها. هذا اجى from the WHO، هذا اجى من ال World Federation for Medical Education، وبعدين they publicized the need to reform the medical curriculum to fit the society need in which the medical school is situated. إذا تلاحظون مطلب مهم من متطلبات الاعتمادية يقول الميديكال school is socially accountable should address the need of the society. الريبورت هذا اجى من الجي ام سي الاول، اذا تلاحظون تاريخه 1993، يعني قبل 20 سنة من هسه. قال احنا الطلاب اللي نخرجهم they should have doctors with attitude toward medicine, learning which would fit them for their future professional career and self-directed lifelong learner. لذلك يجب التركيز في مناهجنا التعليمية على to be compassionate, communication skills, appropriate behavior, ethics, allow for independent learning. وهذا الجي ام سي شافوا two major reforms as a critical factor including اقترحوا reduction of the factual overload، المعلومات الهائلة الكبيرة اللي تعطى للطلاب. اثنين promotion of self-learning, critical thinking and evaluation of scientific evidence. والcurriculum should be defined while the teaching learning process should be changed to more active style, not a passive style. Many reforms should also start making the basic science more relevant to the clinical science. الايفيدنس الثاني اجى من امريكا نفس الوقت تقريبا 1992، نفس السجستشنز ونفس الريكومنديشن، وهذا قال اللي هو ريبورت باي جونسون وود ب 1992 قال it is urged more integration ما بين البيزك والكلينيكال. there should be هنا انتبهوا هنا ركز على interdisciplinary and interdepartmental courses and there should be carried forward with their clinical training years when they learn to use their basic science knowledge to solve clinical problem. لاحظوا هاي النقطة المهمة، مو بس early clinical exposure نخلي الطلاب من أول يوم يداوم صف أول يشوف مرضى، وإنما نستخدم البيزك ساينسز اللي تعلمها بصف أول وصف ثاني في حل المشاكل من هو يسوي clinical practice صف خامس صف سادس، وهذا هو الهارت مالت الانتجريشن. إذا أجينا على الديزاين فور learning experience تلاحظون عندنا the classical curriculum اللي هو البيزك ساينسز، بعدين clinical experience، وبعدين clinical practice. while what we need now from early clinical experience and then we need some clinical practice in the intermediate zone صف ثالث رابع, and then still we have a few basic science till the end, and this is the best model that fits the modern medical education nowadays. السكند ريكومنديشن اللي هو اتكلم عنه انه including يتكلم عن incorporate health and disease behavioral and social aspects of medicine, statistics, information science, ethics, and then also familiarity with those topics would prepare a graduate to practice health promotion, disease prevention, to be a lifelong learner. والثird recommendation كان extension of clinical training beyond the tertiary hospitals, يروح للprimary health care, rural hospitals. نفس الشيء such a training would allow the student to see the patient in different setting وليس في setting واحد اللي هي المستشفيات التعليمية. رابع recommendation هي student assessment, وش قال هذا في الريبورت مالته. It was suggested that as the curriculum should be interdisciplinary and interdepartmental, the assessment لازم يكون should be also integrated, and this is a very important point that he focused or highlighted. والmethod used to assess the student can greatly influence their learning. احنا كلنا تعلمنا انه assessment drives learning. دائما الطالب واحد من اهم motives to learn is that he will be assessed, and therefore we have to focus on that point. نيجي إلى أهمية من يقوم بكل هذه الواجبات. The medical education unit, which should be very active at any medical school. This central body اللي هو يقوم بالplanning والimplementing والmonitoring والevaluating the curriculum, we're revisiting it as necessary and rewarding teaching excellence. This is very important to be done by this medical education unit. Now we come for this quiz. Is that the one who produces a graduate sorry السؤال هنا أنا أريدكم إخوان تجاوبوني عليه قبل ما أكمل. How do you define the best curriculum? هل انه the one who produces a graduate matching the medical college mission, the one with high quality outcome competencies, the one with the best assessment system, the one who incorporate advanced technology in learning and assessment, or the one which include a high degree of integration? Please vote to see your choice. ايش قد بقى عندنا من الوقت دكتورة حور؟
دكتور بعد ب9:15 ان شاء الله نخلص. حاليا 9:45.
اوكي لحد الآن 21 فوتر فقط من الموجودين هم أدلوا بأصواتهم، اللي واضح إنه عندنا منقسمين ما بين the one who produce graduate matching the mission and the one with high quality outcome competencies. Okay. نروح للإجابة. The best medical curriculum is the one that produces a graduate who matches the mission statement of the medical school. ماكو فكرة أخوان أسوي mission statement وأني مدى أطبقها ومدى أحصل النتائج مالتها مهما كانت الميشن statement مالتي عظيمة. بالقرن 21 من هو يكون الجود physician؟ سؤالي شوي جواب عليه يكون is not easy one، لكن probably we may suggest the one who promote the health of all people, aware of the quality of health care, deliver health services humanly and cost effectively, carry out his learning independently and throughout his professional life, high moral and ethical standard. هذه مو كلها اخوان الان احنا نعمل عليها في مناهجنا ولا نترجمها في تترجم في الكواليتي مالت الخريجين مالتنا. With this realization, many medical schools are revisited their mission statement. وهذه كلش مهم بين فترة وفترة الكلية revise its mission statement and change it. تعرفون الفيجن ما يتغير بسرعة، الفيجن يكون لفترة طويلة، بينما الميشن ستيتمنت اللي هي الطريق للوصول للفيجن ممكن أن يتغير من وقت إلى آخر. واحدة من المايلستونز اللي صارت وراء أبرام فليكسنر هو introducing of problem based learning 1969. في نفس الوقت الادفانس الثاني كان استخدام الستاندرايزد بيشنت فور كلينيكال learning and even assessment. الثيرد وان كان استخدام الامبوليتري سيتنج فور ميديكال ستودنت، واني كلش ادعم هذا الموضوع. الطلاب يروحون يشوفون المرضى في سيتنجز مختلفه، عيادات خارجيه، مراكز رعايه صحيه اوليه، مستشفيات تعليميه، rural areas hospital etc. معظم الكوريكولوم الآن strive toward integrating basic sciences with the clinical training. This is very important. إنه يبقى الطالب يستخدم ال basic sciences في ال later years of study. ال old curriculum هو يعتمد على very large bulky knowledge, teacher centered, lecture based and discipline oriented. بينما the new curriculum هو student centered, interactive and faculty directed. The new curriculum integrate across the basic والclinical. The new curriculum الcontent مالته لازم تقل. The new curriculum there must be elective, a special study module. The new curriculum should have introduced some basic element of the patient care in the early clinical exposure. The new curriculum, at least 20% of the curriculum should be problem solving, scenario based teaching, and time allocated for community health clinics, and the determination of academic content and student assessment come under Central Curriculum Committee. The Central Curriculum Committee is the body who do everything, planning, designing, planning, implementing, and evaluating the curriculum. And then this medical education unit is very important. There must be student representative at that curriculum committee. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hilal, for your presentation. Now it's time for a question. If you had any question, you can raise your hand, so unmute yourself when you ask for that. And also, you can write a comment. So.
قبل هذه شباب دكتورة حور وأديان واللي يساعدوك أريد يسجلون الحضور لأنه هذا الموضوع مهم جدا بالسيرتيفيكيت. فبليز the attendee should be checked carefully.
Okay, we have a Google form in the comments, so please fill the Google form for certificate issues. Now, Dr. Ahmed Ibrahimi, you can unmute yourself.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
هذا بايس، هذا بايس.
دكتور هلال.
هلا دكتور احمد. هذا بايس.
يعني هاي تكميم افواه هسه صار استاذ.
حبيبي ده الشاقه وياكم تدري لازم واحد شويه يغير جو، لازم يغير جو.
ممنون بالعكس متفضلين استاذنا الفاضل. شكرا جزيلا لجنابك، شكرا جزيلا لكل الحضور. انا بصراحه اسعدني انه اغلب الحضور هم من شبابنا الطلبه واللي يعني خريجين حديثا، وهذا شيء يعني جيد وصحي جدا بنفس الوقت. انا عندي بس نقطتين اساسيتين حبيت انه يعني اتناقش بها مع جنابك والاخوه الحاضرين، اللي هي الجو العام لموضوع الميديكال اديوكيشن. حضرتك استرسلت بالهيستوري للميديكال اديوكيشن من تقريبا يعني من القرون الوسطى لحد اليوم، لكن هو كان جزء خلينا نقول من الجو العام للثقافه السائده في مجتمعنا. يعني احنا لحد الان بصراحه عندنا مشكله هي الانفصام ما بين مجتمعنا وما بين الاديوكيشن بصوره عامه، سواء كان على مستوى الهاير اديوكيشن او خلينا نقول الاديوكيشن العادي يعني وزاره التربيه او وزاره التعليم العالي. يعني مثلا نضرب مثال، اذا اردنا انه نوسع من دائره مشاركه الطلبه او نتجه باتجاه الستودنت سنترد ليرنينج، للاسف الطلبه او جزء خلينا نقول معتد به لا باس به من الطلبه ما فاهمين انه موضوع الستودنت سنترد ليرنينج، وانه جزء من الليرنينج يجب ان يكون عليهم قبل لا يكون هو على الاستاذ، او خلينا نقول الاولد فاشن اللي هو التيشر سنترد ليرنينج. هاي النقطه الاولى. النقطه الثانيه هي المخرجات. ايضا نحن الان يعني لدينا انفصال ما بين وزاره الصحه اللي تستقبل مخرجاتنا كمؤسسات تعليميه، يعني المؤسسات التعليميه نفسها، سواء كان مؤسسات تابعه لوزاره التعليم العالي ام مؤسسات التعليم الاهلي. لا يزال العلاقه بين المؤسسات التعليميه ووزاره الصحه لتستقبل المخرجات يعني علاقه مو كلش خلينا نقول مترابطه، على الرغم من انه الكثير من الاساتذه هم جزء من وزاره الصحه، لكن تاثيرهم على خلينا نقول الميديكال اديوكيشن لا يزال دون المستوى. فهاي بس حبيت النقطتين اللي اثيرها مع جناب. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much. I try to speak in English in the bulk because some of our colleagues in Suleimania probably they couldn't understand Arabic and everything, but دورات أخبط كلام منا ومنا حتى يكون يوصل للكل. إخوان, the challenges that we are facing are so huge and so great, and there are deficiencies and defect everywhere. The question is that from where to start? يعني this argument was since we started at College of Medicine, Baghdad University, changing our curriculum. One says the graduates from the secondary school are not fit for the medical colleges, and he is right. Now what shall we do? Shall we stop? Shall we keep on teaching our old way and while the whole world is changing till we reach to a level that there is no common language between Iraq and the outside? And this is very important, إخوان. لكن إحنا, if we think that improving the culture of medical education is very important. I am very happy now because of the accreditation and its requirement. We can see that most of the medical school now thinking many times in medical education, many times in modernization of its curriculum because it is a requirement for accreditation. While this condition was not 10 years ago. We were fighting for that. واستاذة بتول وياي موجودة وتذكر ايش عانينا في كلية طب بغداد حتى احنا نتكلم بالكونسبتس. يعني تخيل انت الريبورت اللي طلع من الجي ام سي ومن امريكا بالتغيير وبدت الكليات تتغير عليه in 1992 and 93 20 years ago. 20 years ago واحنا لحد الان we are asking ourselves, shall we do it? Can we do it? Are we able to face the challenges? How can we do it? I think even by this course, if we get out of this course by someone is believing that we have to change, I think this is a beginning of success. And then we increase lobbying for that with time. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed.
Okay, and now Dr. Shara, you raised your hand, so you can speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Hilal, for this interesting lecture. I have a very specific question. In the very last slides, you mentioned the Curriculum Development Committee. The head of that committee is recommended to be the Vice Dean. Can you further clarify why should be the Vice Dean? Why not the most competent person in the department who are really interested in medical education?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Shara, for this question. From my humble experience in medical schools, I found that anyone who does not have the power or the higher hand is with the change, the things will be struggle to change. Unless the dean or the vice dean or the one in a high rank in the medical school is leading and supporting, at least supporting or authorizing. Let's say anyone who is active in the curriculum committee, he is very competent, he is very knowledgeable, and he is very enthusiastic in to do the change, but he should be fully endorsed by the dean or the vice dean to support. Because let's say in the assessment, if you have some issue in the assessment, simply the dean or the vice dean, he will say هذه تعليمات حكومية, هاي تعليمات وزارة, هاي تعليمات جامعة, I couldn't change it, stop it, I will not do it. Unless he is believer of that. We faced that during our change to curriculum for 6 medical schools in Iraq that followed the integrated curriculum. We sat together, we put certain rules for that integrated curriculum for assessment, and we have approval from the Ministry of Higher Education to apply these instructions. because the heads of the medical schools were very believer, very supporter. And this is come. The authority there must be there. The authority for change, for endorsement. If the dean or the vice dean gives his authority to anyone who is active, that's it. He can do everything. Otherwise, he will not do it. So this is my advice: is that anyone should be a high authorized person to lead.
Thank you so much. So this was your recommendation based on your experience, personal.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
In Iraq,
you.
for sure, Sarah, in Iraq, Shara, in Iraq, I am saying in Iraq, not outside.
I was wondering if that's something global. That's why I had that question.
No. I am, no.
And we are trying to.
Outside, they are fully authorized to do it. They are fully authorized to do it. But I am talking about Iraq.
Thank you.
Okay, now Dr. Mohammed Nasir, you can talk now.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, dear doctors. I wanted to ask regarding basic science, clinical experience, and clinical practice. We mentioned that all of three of them are needed in a certain percentage, but I didn't understand the difference between a clinical experience and the clinical practice. What is the exact difference between the two?
The clinical practice, Muhammad, as simply as that, giving you the experience. If you practice, you will get experience in that practice. It is just a language elaboration. There is no such medical education difference, because once you practice something, you will have the experience in that thing. This is just to highlight the issue rather than no difference.
Sorry, but the part exactly about being third and fourth year should go to clinical experience.
No.
Yes,
If you are
that
talking
part.
about that,
Yes.
the clinical experience, it means you are going to go to the hospital, doing examination, history taking, etc., certain procedures under supervision. This is a clinical experience. While abroad in Europe and America, the 6-year student or the final year student, they are practicing medicine together with the house officer. It's a shadow, so they be involved in health service provision. They are not only trained how to examine, trained how to take a history or other issues. They are part of the medical team that provide health service, but it is fully supervised by the team which is present at the hospital. That's the difference. If you are talking about the labeling of the division of the curriculum.
Thank you, doctor. This is clear now.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Yaqeen, I think you want to ask any question. Please, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Yes, please. I would like to ask, what is the idea or the ideology that actually made you kind of like think that if we implement a system that is for students that are studying abroad with a completely different educational system that they have in high school and everything, and we implement it here in Iraq, would it be the same with like students having a completely different background and completely different to what they're studying before and going like brand new to all this information, all this like system? How would it be able to work in such a environment?
Brilliant question. We are not copying what they are doing outside, but there are general principles. It's like medicine. We are using medicine that they are using outside. We are doing surgeries like it is done outside. There are principles, but these principles have to be tailored, to be designed according to local environment, to the needs of your learner. And I will talk tomorrow about extensively how you design the curriculum according to your local needs. The principle is that we shouldn't be a information transformer to you. There must be a student-centered. Yes, our Iraqi medical graduates from the secondary school are not trained well to be self-directed learning. It is our responsibility to have a transitional zone pushing them to be a self-directed study. Like, if we minimize the number of teaching hours, large group teaching in the first year, and it is be changed to a flipped classroom technique, I will talk tomorrow. Gradually the student will be put on the track away from the درخيات يدرخ ومعلومات هواية إلى a way of self-directed learning, thinking, critical thinking and problem solving. And with time he will be changed. That's what meant. Definitely the culture is different, the level of education is different, the requirement is different, but the principle is the same. يعني احنا ما ممكن نهائيا انه الاستاذ يغطي كل المعلومات what is called coveritis, everything to be covered within short period of time. I will talk tomorrow about that extensively. But we have to keep the student think, use his brain rather than his memory, although the memory part of the brain, but using his thinking in solving the problem rather than memorizing and تعرفون احنا وضعنا الدرخ والامور الاخرى اللي يصير عندنا.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Shara, I think she had another question.
Do we still have time?
Okay, we have just 4 minutes.
Okay. Dr. Hilal, since we were talking about the history and progress and improvement, is there any attempt by NCAMC to push the Ministry of Higher Education to have an exam like MCAT and CCAT for the high school student, and also some shadowing like experience for the students who are interested in medical school or in medicine? Thank you.
Yeah, this is an important question. Thank you, Dr. Shara. If you definitely you witnessed my slide where I put what are the forces for changes, either external or internal. Remember that slide?
Certainly.
That slide, it means that some forces comes from outside and some forces from inside for a change. In our country, the forces coming through from inside is much less than the forces that come from outside. And this is a fact, we have to accept it. Because even when we struggle to change our curriculum, we were fighting 10 years till we established the new integrated curriculum. At least I am talking about Baghdad College of Medicine. I don't know the situation in others. But when there is a WFME declaration, GMC announcement about ECFMG announcement is that no medical school graduate will sit the examination for the ECFMG unless their medical schools have been accredited. That push an external drive to change, and therefore even the NCAMC was supported by that to implement accreditation, and accreditation needs a lot of changes. And therefore I think as long as there are changes outside, it will force changes inside. Yes, we are in tremendous discussion with the ministries, etc., but usually the force driven by external forces much more than even our medical student. The external drive for examination to pass the exam is more drive in most, not all, in most of the students than the internal drive to learn something new and to become a competent doctor. He wants to pass the exam, and this is considered an external drive.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The last one was Dr. Mohammed Mahdi. Sorry, you have just 2 minutes. Okay, you can animate yourself.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask. My question is regarding the difficulties mentioned in our environment. Wouldn't it be better to thrive research and education to make a kind of contextual evidence which would be regarded as a push to change the fixed minds?
سوري محمد ما فهم سؤالك، يعني انا الصوت مال يمي صوتك مو كلش واضح عندي، احكي بالعربي شنو سؤالك؟
بالنسبه للصعوبات اللي تواجهنا بالبيئه مالتنا، خصوصا انه
نعم.
الاوثورتيز مرات تعرقل الامور او التعليمات الوزاريه، مو حيكون افضل ناحيه البحث بالتعليم الطبي واللي حيولد لنا contextual evidence؟
excellent. هذه واحده من الافكار اللي اريد اطرحها على الساده عمداء الموجودين. بس انا بس شفت يمكن دكتور سامر موجود، من الاخوان من العمداء موجودين؟ سامر موجود. بس سامر، يمكن دكتور نصير، دكتور توانا ما موجود. ولا دكتور رحيم ما موجود. واحدة من الأمور اللي أنا في بالي أطرحها تكون outcome من هذا البروجكت، من هذا الكورس، كل كلية تسوي project quality improvement in medical education. يعني عندنا يكون 4 project out of this course. يعني هذا البروجكت تعتمد على research work in medical education اللي يعطيك evidence تقدر تتكلم بقوة قدام المسؤول، تقول له باوع هذا. وأنا قدمت حقيقة في تخرج كلية الطب العراقية قبل شهرين، قدمت داتا انه ايش قد الطلاب يحضرون للمحاضرات اللارج جروب تيتشنج. 30% only يحضرون regularly و70% not. ومن احنا ساعات التدريبيه اللي عندنا بالكليه 5500 ساعه في 6 سنوات، نصها ساعات محاضرات طويله لارج جروب تيتشنج، فقط 30% يحضروها. فشوف الويست اوف تايم. هذا ايفيدنس. من نحكي بهذا الايفيدنس لازم اكو ناس تتقبله، والعالم كله الان دا يتوجه يقلل اللارج جروب تيتشنج. وصل الى مرحله less than 10% of the teaching methodology should be in a large group teaching. راح اتكلم عنها باكر ان شاء الله. Definitely endorse your suggestion. You have to have an evidence to talk. اما كل واحد يحكي بمزاجه واني اعتقد هيك وانت ما تعتقد هيك، هذا كلام ما يودي الى حقيقه، بينما الى نتيجه، بينما من تستند على حقيقه وايفيدنس اكيد يوديك الى.
واذا يمكن سؤال ثاني بنص دقيقه.
ما بقت نص دقيقه، عبرت.
خلصت.
غير مره. شكرا جزيلا.
ان شاء الله.
Okay, thank you everyone. We finished the first session. We will take a break, just 10 minutes. Okay, actually 9 minutes. We will go back in
10 minutes. لا تصيرين 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, 10 minutes rest and we will go back.
Okay, شكرا جزيلا. شكرا لاستماعكم.
For attending valuable calls. Our lecture today is about adult learning theory, which is part of the module 1. So, as we start every lecture, we will start with the learning objectives. ما أعرف صوت واضح العفو بس.
أي نعم دكتور واضح. والسلايد واضح.
So, the learning objective of this lecture is, at the end of this lecture, participants will be able to understand how adult learners differ from children in their learning styles and preference. Then we will explore how adult learning theory, or let's say theories, highlight the practical applications and relevance of knowledge, enhancing engagement and retentions. Third, we will consider specific goals that drive the adult learner, such as career advancement, personal growth, or skill involvement. First of all, understanding adult learning theory. So, what is adult learning theory? Adult learning theory focuses on how adults learn in compared to the younger learner. And it emphasizes that the learner autonomy and the practical application of knowledge. So the question here, is it relevant to us? Yes, it helped the educator tailor their teaching methods to meet the unique need of the adult learner. And by recognizing their prior experience, engagement, self-directed learning, we can enhance an effective medical training. So we need training to be as effective as possible. This is a long history of adult learning theories, and starting from Pavlov's in 1940s, Paul Misery in 1970s, 80s, and then there is a new one, 2005, about advanced adding technologies and many learning theories. So they are defined differently throughout the years based on the large variation of adult learning theory. There is no particular right or wrong in theories. Same thing is applied to medical education. Nothing particular right or wrong, but what these theories have in common is the goal of creating an effective learning experience. هذا الهدف اللي نطمح effective learning experience for adult learning, because we are dealing with it. So let's stimulate you. So why learning theories you think are important? Do you want us to dig in that part? ندخل بالtheories. إذا تقدرون تاخذون الكودز و تدخلون تعطونا your comment about why the theory is important. ما أعرف إذا أكو مشاركات لأن أنا ما جاي أقدر أشوف participant. Yeah.
وبعد لحد الآن نزار هسه أكو 2 participants writing.
Now design lectures, improve medical educations. Okay, these are the ultimate goals. Okay. Let's see, why, how to design lectures to be more effective. Okay. The approach, excellent. How to learn, good. Okay, so we will leave the vote continued, and let's see why the learning theories are important to us. First of all, learning theory let us understand how people learn. So forget that there is one size fit for all. You should tailor your training program, your session, your lecture, so it fits like a glove on each learner unique hand. Second, understanding learning theory gives you the recipe, a tried and true formula for creating an educational experiences that the people will not only enjoy, but also remember. Third, it is you will know the motives, because adult learner is not like the child are thrilled with the gold sticks. هاي تعطي العلامات ويفرح بيها. They want to learn something they can help them improving their skills, which will be applied in practice. And finally, we need to learn in theories. They are important because we need the efficiency. Theories aren't just about making learning more effective. The more effective, read it more efficient. So we reach to the last speaker. So think that the learning theory are your North Stars هو النجم القطبي that guide you toward more impactful and engaging training program. So let's start with the different theories. I will not cover all because they are more than 14, I think, or more. But I will cover some of the most important ones that is applied, have some application or principles in medical education. So let's start with the famous one, the andragogy, which is developed by Malcolm Knowles in 1968. What this theory said, Andragogy is the study of adult learning as opposed to pedagogy, which focus on educating children. So andragogy addresses the specific need and characteristic of adulthood. It has 5 assumptions. The first assumption, they said that they want to have a freedom, the adult want to have a freedom and direct their own learning, not the children. Therefore, they should be involved in the planning and evaluations of their instructions. Also, all of their previous experiences become a foundation for the new knowledge and skills. Therefore, experiences and mistakes should be part of the learning environment. They want to know how and what they are learning is going to help them solve the current and their challenge or problems. Therefore, they will be most interested in topics that are immediately relevant and impact on their personal life. As person mature, their motivations to learn become internal rather than external. So these are the 5 assumptions of andragogy. So as a summary, andragogy, art and practice of teaching adult learning, they are distinct from childhood learning, which is the biggest. How that difference is? First of all, pedagogy is most of the time formal, while in andragogy they are informal. Most of the time, that can be done in this continuous medical education or in psychology. Learners are dependent on and directed by the teachers, while in andragogy, the learners are independent and self-directed. Evaluations is all the time external, but the evaluations through the andragogy is a self-assessment. Learners are externally motivated, so the only grade they need to pass pedagogy, while the learners are intrinsically motivated in andragogy. The learners have an experience in the pedagogy, while the learners have their own rich experience, which should be respected and used as a source. Valuing learning that is put upon them, while value learning that is relevant to everyday life. Finally, learning centers particularly on the subject, while the learning centers in andragogy is particularly on the problems rather than the subject. So, let's take this theory وناخذها إلى البراكتس. So, let's practice. We want to create a workshop. It's a workshop for leadership strategy. So, instead of giving them lecture, first conduct their need of assessment, asking the participant about their specific challenges and what they hope to gain from the workshop. So you address their desire for relevance and self-direction. Secondly, incorporate a case studies or scenarios. So acknowledge their foundation of experiences. Then introduce the new concept and allow to tie them back to their current rules, showing them the immediate implication of the knowledge. And finally, rather than just giving the external reward, they should emphasize the intrinsic values of becoming more effective leaders and how it contributes. So in that way, you involve the theories into the practice. And this is what we need. Every theory has a pros and cons. So the pros with andragogy is tailored for adults, respect their learning experiences, and focus on immediate applicability. but they may not be suitable for all learners. They should assume that there is high level of self-directions, and sometimes they overlook a foundational knowledge that should be key. So if we come back to our course, what assumptions from know هسه اللي الثيوري اللي حكيناها اللي هي anthropology apply to our course. نشوف شنو اللي our course and how can they apply these principles in this course. Read آراءكم. Free test. Assignment. Okay. Feedback. Good. Okay. So in the pretest, we assess the needs of our participant in this course. We get a feedback. Okay, so we get so we see experiences and we see the motives of our learners. We ask them for our motive, what they can gain from that course, or their reflections of that course. And these are the things that our course till now incorporate from know. So we use know to reflect on our practice, and also we assess our need. This is till now what we applied from this theory. The second theory that's also interesting in medical education is experiential learning, which developed by David Kolb in the 1970s. So what Kolb said? Kolb said that experiential learning claimed that experiences هي center of learning. معرفتها السابقة هي لب القضية. Adults can absorb new skills as well as retain and apply their knowledge when they are engaged in activity and reflections. So here we have what is called the experiential learning cycle, which consists of the 4 stages. First one, the concrete experience. Now, the learning something new or experience something familiar in a new way. Once they experience that, they will reflect, observe. There is a reflective observations. They are thinking about what happens and reflect on it. Then there is abstract conceptualizations. They make sense of what they experience and the reflection, thinking about the next steps. And finally, there is active experimentation. Act on the previous reflections من تجربته السابقة راح يطبقها through and plan and notice any change from the first experience. So it is continuous cycles. So this theory is based on learning by doing. You are not just sitting and listening. Get your hand dirty, and to really understand the task at the hand. حتى تتعلم. زين. خلينا نشوف هاي شلون نطبقها على الواقع. So let's apply. نفرض عندك training sessions, training a team on effective communication skills. شو راح تبدي التريننج؟ بدل ما تبدي lecture or instructions, let's start with concrete experience. First, نعطيهم real world scenario or role play exercise. where they navigate and challenge challenging communications breakdown. هذا هسه أخذ الكونكريت experiences. بعد الexercise you do facilitate the discussions between them, share their observations, and how you will unfold the things. So this is a reflective observation على الموضوع. Next, you provide them with a framework. هسه تعطيهم instructions مالتك that helping them understand the principle and strategy for effective dialogue with the patient. So they got abstract conceptualizations. And then they are now armed with the knowledge. They then practice that strategies again with another role-play scenario. In that case, you enforce, there is active experimentations of the, and they get self-actualizations. So this is the way how you involve exponential theory in your training sessions. The pros and cons of this theory: engaging and interactive, this is the pros. Encouraging reflections, and they are real-world applicabilities. But the cons come here is that maybe a time-consuming, and potentially costly, require more times, and sometimes require a specialized facilitator اللي هو راح يعرف بكل التفاصيل. If we come to the transformational learning theory developed by Jack Misery, 1978, Misery شو يقول؟ Transformational learning is about changing how learners perceive and interact with the world. Read and غير. This involves deep structural shift in the way the learner think, feel, act, not just learning a new fact. نغير بكل تصرفات. هاي تتكون من 3 stages. أول مرة لازم أكون dilemma or crisis. Then establishment of the personal relevance. الخطوة الثالثة provide opportunity for critical thinking. خلاصة أنه this is ultimate makeover show for your mind. So you go one person's ترجع لنا بشخص مختلف تماما بعد التجربة. هاي ما تتكلم عليه transformation. So let's see an example of practice. دكتورة سارة هنا عندنا هي experienced physician. Has been practicing medicine for over a decade, and she will well versed in evidence-based medicine, clinical protocols. However, she feels a sense of stagnation and want to enhance her practice. شافت اكو فد عثرات بس تريد تطور هذا البراكتس. Sarah attended a workshop on patient-centered care, showing his existence belief about patient interaction. And she realized that her communication style may not always align with the patient need and preference. So this is a triggering an event. So Sarah deep reflection, شنو قالت? How can she adapt her communication better? Connect with the patient, and what bias or assumption influence her interaction? هسه شلون راح نوظف الترانسفورميشنال ثيوري بانه تساعد سارة بانه تغير الابروتش مالته. So the first thing is the dilemma. الدايلما هي انه سارة acknowledge the gap between her current practice and the patient-centered communication. and she experienced discomfort but recognized شافت اكو need for change. The next step, Sarah will explore and integrate. They try to find resources, attending workshops, read literatures, and observing colleagues. She learned about active listening and empathy and shared decision making. So she applied the new strategies of open-ended questions, listening actively, and collaborate with the patient to create personalized care. She ended up, هاي المرحلة الثالثة, with change in her thinking and actions. غيرت طريقتها. She valued patient perspective and incorporate them in treatment decision. And her interaction become more patient-centered. So in this way, she adopted the transformational learning practice for changing her old practice. Also, this comes with the pros and cons. So the pros is the deep impact learning, increase self-awareness, promote personal growth, but sometimes these cons come with emotional taxing and not suitable for all topics and require skilled facilitator. ما أعرف الوقت أنا بدي أمشي صحيح؟
Okay, doctor, you have 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. So, come to the four theories. Actually, I love this theory, constructivism, or constructive learning by Vygotsky, which is 1978. So, this theory suggests that learners construct their own understanding of knowledge. شلون هو يرتب المعلومات مالته through close to real life experience, active engagement with the materials, followed by reflection of those experiences. So what Vygotsky believed that the learning is collaborative process. أهم نقطة that the social interaction is fundamental for cognitive development. So the student learn best when they work collaboratively with those whose proficiency level is higher than their own. الطالب يتطور إذا تحطه في بيئة أكثر من عنده أو أكثر من عنده قدرته, allowing them to complete tasks that they are not able to do independent. هنا خلينا نتخيل أنه we are in the cognitive kitchen. Cognitive kitchen, you have the experiences, بس أنت you can't throw your experiences كلها بالبوت مالتك. So you need the thinking skills, then to add them to that, the recipes. In that case, you cook up your understanding. So let's practice. أنا نشوف شلون راح نطبق هذا constructive theory in our practice. So let's say as a faculty member of the Department of Community Medicine, ما أعرف عندنا أكيد ويانا Community Medicine why. You task with designing a model to teach fourth-year medical student community medicine. Your task was to design a model to teach fourth-year student on how to utilize the SPSS software for data analysis. So how you can do that task with the help of learning theories. راح نستخدم constructivist theory in that. Let's see how we can do it. First of all, let's explore the software. Let them explore. So you start them to explore the software on their own. تعطيهم basic tasks to perform as they experiment. راح يشوفون challenges. This will guide you to support. هسه يجي دورك انه تدخل تسوي support. By hints, scaffolding, encouragement. Then pairs novice with more experience خليهم pair ويا or provide mentor to help them guide difficult tasks. So by engaging the novice one with the more experienced one the novice one اللي بعدهم المبتدئين become more expert and the cycles will continue. And then at these levels you can add improvement to your session. So the pros and cons of this phenomenon is to promote critical thinking, engaging in an active, encourage active engagement, and allow for multiple perspectives. The cons مالتها they may lack structure, may require skill facilitators, and may result in sometimes in misconception. So I summarize these 4 theories. أرجو أنه ما تكون ثقيلة عليكم بس خلي نشوف شو راح نوظف هاي theories in medical as a medical educator. So educational theories have been presented, each of which can guide teaching practice. Some of the theory will be helpful more than others. However, بالنتيجة طلعوا بعدة principles وهي موجودة بالمحاضرة المرفوعة على الموقع إذا حضراتكم عندكم. Number of principles emerge from these theories اللي توفر guidance for medical education. أكو 8 principles to guide educational practice. النقطة الأولى, learning is an active rather than passive. With the learner make judgment about when and how to modify their knowledge. النقطة الثانية, a learner should be given opportunity to develop their own understanding through the self-directed learning, combined with the dialogue with the teachers or peers. A learner should be given challenging tasks that they couldn't solve independently. And then they work with some others, teachers or peers, and they develop ability. So they should receive less assistance and work independently. The fourth principle, that the learner should be closely related to understanding of solution real-world problems. And the learner should complete full experiential learning cycles in order to gain complete understanding of the concept. اللي هي قلنا عليها concrete experiences, reflections, abstract conceptualization, and then the cycles of being. The learner should be given an opportunity and support for practice by applying self-assessment, taking feedback. The learner should reflect on their practice through analyzing and critique their own performance. And finally, one of the common principles that appear now is the community of a practice focus. Immerse them in the clinical practice, in the clinical specialties, with their peers, with their senior learners, cleric, registrar, clinicians, and others. So this environment will support a meaningful exchange of information, then or based on evidence or based on experience and practice on decision. And finally, I complete my lectures with this case scenario. First of all, let's take a background of these conditions. And then you remember Sarah from the first case, and Sarah is a senior. Now Zainab is a third-year medical student, rotating through the internal medicine department, and she has keen interest in clinical reasoning and wants to improve her diagnostic ability. Her attending physicians, اللي shadowing her, اللي هي Sarah, recognize her enthusiasm and decide to create a learning experiences that align with these principal educational theories. هسه سارة راح تستخدم كل اللي حكيناه من principles in improving Zainab practice. First of all, active learning. Sarah encouraged Zainab to actively engage with the patient cases instead of passively listening to their round tour. She actively participated by asking questions, formulating hypotheses, suggesting differential diagnosis. So by active learning is the first stage. Then self-directed learning. Zainab giving access to medical literature, online resources. She independently researched relevant topics to her patient conditions. So she engaged in the self-directed learning, seek out information beyond what is covered in the formal lecture. نعطيها challenging task with support. So Sarah assigned Zainab a complex case involving patient with the vague symptoms. This case required her to integrate information from different sources and multiple differential diagnoses. So بهاي الحالة سارة provide guidance initially بس gradually تسحب المساعدة مالتها حتى تخليها more confident. She let Zainab engage in a real world problems and involve patients with atypical chest pain, for example. She must consider both common and rare causes, take into account patient history, physical examination, and available investigations. Experiential cycles. So let Zainab observe the patient round. So she come with the concrete experiences, reflect on the cases with peers and mentors, but the Milhel case. So this is the observations. She form on abstract, طلعت بنتائج بالetiology والmanagement, and then to be applied these on another patient. Feedback is important. Zainab practice formulating differential diagnosis and presenting them to Sarah. Sarah تعطيها constructive feedback on her clinical reasoning and helping her to refine her approach. A reflection on her practice. Zainab is maintained her reflective journals where she analyzed her thoughts and the process, and she identified areas for improvement. And finally, by putting Zainab build community of practice on internal medicine, this group of resident attending physicians and other learners, they discuss challenging cases, share evidence-based information, and exchange experiences related to clinical reason. So in that case, we educate Zainab, which is the resident or stagiaires, whatever it is, through the principles obtained from the adult learning theory. And thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nazar, for this interesting presentation, especially the last example. It's give every information in one case, so it's brilliant. Okay, it's time for a question. If anyone had any comment or a question, you can raise your hand or write it in chat box. Okay, Dr. Mohammed Mahdi, you can unmute yourself.
شكرا على الفرصة مرة ثانية. دكتور نزار، عندي سؤال بخصوص transformational theory. من خلال الشرح فهمنا إنه هي يعني تسوي shift how learners think, feel and act، واللي هي تقريبا نقدر نقول steady way للprofessional identity formation. شنو رأيك ونصائحك؟ هل ممكن professional identity formation يصير بيها integration بالcurriculums مثل كcompetence أو outcome؟
actually all these theories still should be incorporated in one way or another in the teaching process. يعني هي المفروض انت من تسوي any training or for your session rather than understanding the theory itself or looking back to what is the theory. If you are going to be a medical educator, we need our teacher to apply these on how they train their students. And ولا مانع انه تكون هاي واحده من الميثود تعلم شلون transformation is learning and how we can critically thinking of the new ideas. So he come with a new persons in that case.
شكرا.
شكرا.
Okay, Dr. Hilal, if you want to add any comments.
Thank you very much, dear Dr. Nazar. يعني a very elegant, high standard presentation. Really, I am very enjoyed your talk. حقيقة. Dear colleagues, الفكرة هي ليست فقط إعطاء معلومات أو حصول على certificate من هذا الكورس. هي الفكرة إنه how we are going to use the information delivered here in our practice. As you all heard from us, that our aim is to create curriculum committee members at your College of Medicine, and therefore we want you to think twice, 3 times, 4 times of what is said here. We will supply all the required resources. We will keep in discussion with you through the discussion forum, through the data management system that is offered to you to train in this program. But what we observed is that probably we are not familiar with using these data management system, because till now we have 2 discussion forum. In the first one, probably 18 or 20 only participated. In the second one, only 12 participated. Unless we being involved. يعني واحدة من الأول الدروس اللي قالها دكتور نزار هو active learner مو passive learner. إذا أنت ما تناقش بالدiscussion forum، ما تطرح أفكارك، ما تسأل أسئلة، you will not be an active learner in this teaching خلينا نقول أو learning course. Please be committed to the requirement in order to have a good outcome out of this course. I'm really impressed نزار بالpresentation مالتك. I think it's very useful. وعاشت ايدك.
شكرا لك دكتور عزيز.
Okay, دكتور أحمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا جزيلا. يعني أنا عندي I have a comment على يعني الموضوع in general. صراحة أثني على كلام الأستاذين فاضلين الدكتور نزار والدكتور هلال عن أهمية الموضوع، لكن بصراحة بنفس الوقت نستغل وجود عدد يعني ممتاز من الطلبة اللي موجودين بنقل هذه الرسالة، لأن العديد من الطلبة حاليا ما مستوعبين برنسبل خلينا نقول اوف ادلت ليرنينج، وما مستوعبين انه جانب من التعليم يقع على عاتقهم، والموضوع الاكتيف ليرنينج يجب ان يبدا من عندهم. فاحنا يعني بصراحه خلينا نفكر بموضوع او بنقطه مهمه، انه شلون ننقل افكار هذا الكورس من العدد اللي احنا هسه حاليا موجود. اتصور احنا حاليا موجودين 40 مثل خلينا نقول 4 جامعات، يعني خلينا نقول افتراضا كل جامعه من عندها 10 أو 8، فشلون الثمانيه او الخمسه اللي موجودين من كل جامعه سواء كان طلبه او غيره ينقلون الافكار من هذا الكورس الى الزملاء الى الطلبه. فهذا الموضوع جدا مهم، لان للاسف لحد الان يعني العديد من الطلبه ما فاهمين انه الجانب الاكبر من العمليه التعليميه يقع على عاتقهم. التركيز حاليا هو عباره عن درجات، وعباره عن خلينا نقول انه شلون يعني ناكل الماده وبعدين من يجي الامتحان نفرغها وخلاص انتهى الموضوع. يعني مو عباره عن هو اكتيف ليرنينج. فالقصد انه خلونا نفكر ما بعد الكورس شلون نقدر نوضح مفاهيم الكورس لاكبر عدد ممكن من الطلبه عن طريق ورش عمل، عن طريق ندوات، عن طريق خلينا نقول يعني فعاليات معينه داخل الجامعات يقوم بها الطلبه اللي اخذوا هذا الكورس. شكرا جزيلا.
هو دكتور يمكن تطبيق الادلت ليرنينج بمختلف الثيوريز اور برنسبلز هو راح يؤدي لك الى انه انت يتحول تفكير الطالب من انه يكون بس متلقي الى ان اكتف ليرنر، من انت تطبقها بتطبيقك سواء في محاضرتك، سواء في السيشن العملي، سواء في الكلينيكال كورس، راح يتحول الى اكتف ليرنرز. بس اذا ظلينا على طريقه الدايدكتيك ليكتشرز فراح نظل احنا على طريقه انه we teaching in the pedagogy form، احنا ما حولناهم بعضهم اندروجوجي. هل هم قابلين انه يكون بيداغوجي؟ اوكي يقبلون انه يكون in the children way or children styles.
هي المشكله عفوا استاذ، المشكله جزئين بالعمليه التعليميه راضين بان يكونوا بيداغوجي، يعني الطلبه والاساتذه للاسف اكو بيهم راضين انه يكونوا بهاي العمليه. نعم. لكن احنا مهمتنا انه ننقل الجزئين من العمليه التعليميه الى التفكير بطريقه الاندراغوجي.
صحيح.
إذا تسمح لي دكتورة حور أعلق على هالبوينت. عشتي لك دكتور أحمد، هذا هو بيت القصيد. How we are going to use the data we are learned in this course and apply it on our in our curriculum. Two important points. Some of the faculty members are not doing and probably are not believing in that what we are saying, and therefore it's not translated to the environment. And a lot of medical students, they don't want that way, that they take responsibility of their learning. So what is the solution here? I think it is stepwise. Stepwise, if you want to have a change, you must have a group, starting with a group. And this group start to lobby for the terminologies of student-centered, self-directed, critical thinking, problem solving. هنا تبرز أهمية تأكيدا على السؤال مال الدكتورة شارل كان ذاك السيشن، إنه من يكون الهيد مالت الأكاديميك institution he is adopting these principles and these ideas, this will hasten the rate of changes. وهذا هو المهم. الطالب من يجي بأخليه لأني 80% of the questions problem solving. إذا هو ما يشارك بالدiscussion اليومي and he tried to ask his senior, his colleagues about how to solve that problem, how to think of it, ما راح يقدر يحل سؤال الامتحان، ما راح يعبره. This is a behavioral way of changing the way of learning from the didactic large group lectures into more critical thinking. Therefore, the design of the learning, the design of the assessment will force that changes. Definitely this need very good support from the policy maker. يعني النقطة اللي أثرتها ممتازة وهي الغاية حقيقة من هذا الكورس. شكرا دكتور أحمد.
Okay, now Dr. Shara, mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nazar, for the lecture. Just to add, Dr. Hilal, at University of Sulimani, as you know, we established the learning program. And one of the things that they are focusing on, the senior students are giving courses on medical education, self-directed learning, and particularly we focus on year one. So I think this is really effective and it was received very well.
This is excellent. أعتقد Suleimani College of Medicine have very good steps forward, including I think you have a Department of Medical Education. Correct me if I am wrong, Shara. They have Department for Medical Education, not a unit as all other Iraqi medical colleges. There is department and there is a head of department. They also applied peer teaching. This is a new invention in the modern medical education. And this is the third item Dr. Shara is talking about. طبعا our observation, me and Dr. Nazar, Sulimani College of Medicine was the first in applying for the data management system, in participating in the discussion forum, in doing the pre-test. They were from the start. So we should claim for the Sulimani for their very active and enthusiastic participation in this course.
Okay, thank you all for your join and for attending this session. We are finishing our session today for module 1.
Just one moment before finishing, Hur Al-Ain, tomorrow will be an active learning, an active session. Our colleagues, Dr. Abatul, me, myself will present, Dr. Basim, Dr. Nazar will be there. We will be split into breakout rooms, and we will have an active discussion and active duty during the presentation. So please join the session as early as possible. Be prepared. Please read the presentation. We uploaded you 1 week before in order to revise it and discuss it, rather than to memorize it or for our side to present it in front of you. It is there. We uploaded recent resources in curriculum design and management for you. Please review it. We want to discuss how to apply it in our 4 universities. So be prepared for tomorrow, inshallah, and hopeful it will be useful session for you.
عفوا دكتور هلال، أحب أضيف أنه هذا الكورسز ما يقتصر بس على الموديول أو presentations اللي نعطيها.
assignment. There will be assignment.
راح نحط exercise هيجي just to refresh the ideas and how to apply. We have many exercises on the topics that we have.
Okay, before we finish, Mariam, Dr. Mariam, you can talk.
Yes, my question is for both Dr. Hilal and Dr. Nazar. يعني إحنا ورا ما شفنا كل هاي theories and we learned how important it is to change the way we learn أو how إنه نغير من passive للactive learning. وحكينا على أهمية إنه يكونون stakeholders believers بهاي الidea for us إنه تكون يعني effective بواقعنا التعليمي. بس يعني خلينا حتى نكون واقعيين، احنا مو كل الستيك هولدرز يعني والناس اللي بمواقع القوة راح نقدر نقنعهم بهذا الشيء. فشون ممكن يعني احنا يعني نحدث امباكت حتى لو ما كنا نقدر نوصل للفول امباكت بانه يعني يكون الهيد هو مقتنع بهذا الشيء؟ شلون نقدر نعالج هالوضعية؟
نزار عندك جواب؟ I will answer in very short. احنا as a clinician, this is an example. The most important challenge, if my resident or my board candidate is telling me about recent advances in the branch of cardiology, as I am cardiologist, and I don't know about it. احنا دائما نقول المقيم الأقدم أو المقيم هو اللي دائما يحفز الأستاذ مالته على متابعة العلم والتعلم، لأنه ما يريد ينحرج قدام الطلاب مالته ينسأل سؤال بمجال الاختصاص وهو ما يعرفه. الغاية من هذا المثال اللي جبته إنه the student will be a very good external stimulator for the faculty member to change, and the voice of the student is heard everywhere, even in the accreditation. بالاccreditation committee الآن حتى في مجلس الاعتماد الوطني there will be 2 student representation. في كل اللجان الفرعية للاعتماد there must be student representation. في curriculum committee there must be. في مجلس الكلية there must be. So the student should they say it loudly, politely, ethically, professionally, that's the way of the modern medical education.
أنا بس أحب أضيف دكتور هلال إنه حتى لو إحنا ما قدرنا خلينا نقول نصل إلى الستيك هولدرز أو البوليسي ميكرز، تغيير بالفاكولتي ممبر and their approach to deliver their content, their training, their in using the theories راح يغير. حتى إذا غيرنا في 10% 20% 50% من the change will be here.
Okay, thank you all for listening. We are now finishing our session for today. Sorry for others who cannot take time to speak or to give their opinion or a question.
دكتورة فور بس الأخ دكتور محمد نصير رفع إيده.
Okay, تمام. دكتور محمد, you can talk.
Sorry to intrude on the time of our session today, but I want to ask a question. At which point is the doctor required to learn this information, the information in this entire course? For example, can we apply it into our curriculum of medical school? Can we make students learn it in first year, for example, to make them understand the correct ways to study medicine? Or is it preferable to do it in another time?
No, Muhammad, these theories and approaches should be explained as early as possible. يعني هي البروسيس أولا الكلية should be a believer in that approach. Second, there must be a schedule. كل كلية لازم عندها document يقول البوليسي مال هاي الكلية. انه البوليسي مال هاي الكليه تمشي ب way of modern medical education, student centered, critical thinking from the start, from year one. بالبوكلت مالت الكليه اللي كل الطلاب ياخذوه قبل ما يجون ويقرون هاي الكليه شلون تدرس، باي طريقه تدرس، باي طريقه تمتحن، ماذا على الطلاب ان يعملون، ماذا على الاساتذه ان يعملون، شنو هي الفاسيليتيز. هاي البوكلت اللي موجوده للمنهاج الاكاديمي مال كل كليه لازم مثبت وموجود، والطالب ينحط من سنه اولى، من اول يوم يداوم ينحط في هذا الجو. ولذلك early start is very important, never do it late. إضافة إلى أنه كل الكليات بالعالم إذا نشوفها تخلي أول أسبوعين أو 3 induction course لكل الطلاب، تعلم على كل تفاصيل الكلية، وين المكتبة، وين النادي، وين المحاضرات، إيش قد لازم يقرأ باليوم، شلون لازم يقرأ، شنو الكونسبت ماب، التايم مانجمنت، كلها هذه important حقيقة. و it should be done as early as possible.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله. شكرا. شكرا دكتور رايقين. مع السلامة.